Attention, please. Eastern Airlines Flight 19, now ready for departure.
Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're entering the vacation kingdom of the world.
There's enough land here to hold all the ideas and plans we could possibly imagine. We call it EPCOT. Will be our experimental prototype city of tomorrow.
Welcome to another episode of the Retro Disney World Podcast, taking you back to the vacation kingdom of the world, the way it was, and the way it is in your memories.
Well, welcome everybody to a very special episode of the Retro Disney World Podcast. This is a pre-show to RetroCon, which is coming up in just a short few days here. This is your host, Todd McCartney, and sitting with me tonight, as always, is JT Cougar. How are you, JT?
Good, Todd. How you doing?
Not too bad. Hal Bowers?
Aloha.
Aloha from his new office. And Brian P. Miles from Bluebell, Pennsylvania. How are you, Brian?
Greetings and salutations.
There we are. So it's Labor Day. We are done laboring for the year, and here we are. And we've decided to put together a short bonus podcast here, talk a little bit about some of the upcoming things that we're going to be doing on the podcast, some new things that we've got. Brian's going to go over RetroCon, as we mentioned, talk about some new films that we just restored, and update you on some of our little projects that we've been doing on the side. So, Brian, why don't you tell the listeners here a little bit about what RetroCon is. It's going on, I know, September 12th and 13th at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center. You're going to be there. We've got some neat things that we're doing. We've got some stuff we're selling. So give them a little idea of what we're going to be doing there.
All right. Thanks, Todd. I had booked a table probably 9 or 10 months ago before we started the podcast, just with an idea of, well, I'll do something there. RetroCon started, this is the 4th or 5th one, and each year it's gotten bigger and bigger. If you've been to any of these kind of pop culture fan conventions, Comic-Con's obviously the big one, but they've started to spring up regionally, and this is one that's really grown by leaps and bounds since it started. So it is a pop culture and memorabilia show that caters to anything considered retro, but they especially focus on the 80s and Transformers, Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Ghostbusters, He-Man, video games. There's over 200 tables of collectibles and art for sale. They have special guests, video games, costume contest, raffles, trivia. Really, you name it. There's panels. There's very cool panels that they have. And there is some terrific cosplay there. I took my nephew 2 years ago dressed as a stormtrooper, and I think he managed to get pictures with virtually every character in the Star Wars universe from just different fans who had been there dressed up as different things. Terrific R2-D2 interaction and Darth Vader and really anything you can think of. This year, on Saturday, they have a panel featuring characters, people who worked on the show, the cartoon Mask.
I remember
it was
that,
the mobile, something. I know the last word was command, and it started with a K.
Generic Transformers, kind of like that sort of thing.
No, Mask had these little mini characters.
Mask was more on the G.I. Joe
size
and type of thing that it was in terms of the show. I wish I could remember what Mask stands for.
I had the toys. I don't remember the show.
Yeah, we're going to get some hate mail on that. But
how's got it there?
Mobile Armored Strike Command. And command is spelled with a K.
Yeah, right. What I remember the most about it is that Robot Chicken did a 1 minute sketch of their theme song, and one of the lines is "Mask, don't they know command doesn't start with a K?" And that's what I always think of when I hear Mask now, because I just remember laughing at midnight one night watching that.
Brian, you've been there before. The number of people that are attending that are there for Disney fans or dressed up in Disney costumes or Disney bounding, do you see that as well there?
We're blazing a trail here, Todd. Now you see people from Disney studio produced movies. Mm-hmm. I mean, you do see people cosplay from some of the live action stuff, not the Dean Jones slapstick type comedy stuff.
Right.
But from the big studio picks that they do today, you'll occasionally see people dressed like that. But we're blazing a trail here, trying to introduce the stuff that we focus on
Right.
here at the show and expand. We're not the only people. I mean, there's other podcasts that appear there that focus on different aspects of the retro pop culture. But we're really, a lot of what we're trying to do here is first, we're going to have some cool stuff on display, some cool stuff from my collection and a collection of a couple of friends. So some cool retro items there. We'll have some retro items for sale. Some of the stuff that I may have duplicates of, or maybe need to clear out to make room for new retro stuff. And we'll be running a sample film for everybody to show what our restoration efforts do when we take an original film and then restore it, color correct it digitally in high definition.
Yeah, we've got a great side-by-side comparison that shows exactly what the film looked like when we received it, and then right next to it is the fully restored version of the film, so people can see how, as Brian pointed out, the color restoration, the removal of the dust and scratches, and it's quite eye-opening if people haven't seen it before.
Yes. So one of the things I've learned from emails and stuff that we've gotten from listeners is that there's actually a lot of them in the region. And I'd say, Oaks, Pennsylvania is probably 25 minutes on the highway outside of Philadelphia. From the metropolitan area, and I'd say, Delaware, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, some parts of Maryland, it's no more than an hour and a half drive if you're looking for something to do this coming weekend. As I said, there are thousands and thousands of people that come to this thing. When I started, it was like some guy started in his garage. So you went to a really small area, and there might have been 50 vendors there. There's over 200 vendor tables now, and just a ton more stuff. I mean, the General Lee's there, the kit from Knight Rider, the Mystery Machine. I mean, these are full-size vehicles that are there on display. Really cool raffles and stuff like that. But part of what we're looking to do too is, meet some of you that do listen to the show. And the added bonus for anybody who listens to the show or who follows us on Twitter, because we'll put this out on Twitter as well and Facebook. If you do come by the show, stop by the table and say hello, and you mention the secret password, we will give you details so that you can get early access to our next podcast, exclusive early access, which we'll talk about a little later in the show.
Yep.
But the secret password is Roy's Cabin.
Oh,
That's right. There we go. So if you remember that, find Brian at the Retro Disney World table at RetroCon. And when's this running, Brian, on Saturday?
So that's this weekend, which is Saturday and Sunday, September 12th and 13th. It's Saturday, it runs from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday, it's 9 to 4. Tickets are $18 for Saturday, $15 on Sunday. If you have kids 12 and under, they are free with a paying adult. You can bring 10 kids with one paying adult, and they get in for free. It is cash only at the ticket booth, but there is an ATM there. But hey, we're retro, so we carry cash, right? You can check it all out at their website, get all the details. It is RetroCons with an S on the end, plural.com. So that's RetroCons.com. And I really do hope to meet some of you out there.
Yeah, it'd be great to see you there. And JT, you're going to try to make it there as well, right?
yeah, it's a lock. I'll be there.
Excellent.
Whoa!
So look at that
I'm
extra
finding this out
bonus.
live with our listeners.
Live on the air.
Brian
We will
and
be there.
JT will be there at RetroCon coming this coming Saturday
We'll be touring
and Sunday.
Philadelphia and
Yep.
the retro world.
I've got a couple items that I'm going to send down to Brian for display, and I may even have a couple extras that we can give away as well. And why not do this, Brian? I'm going to give you something to do there too. I'm going to send down one of our well-known 3D printed coasters
Whoa.
Very
to give
cool.
away. So why don't we say pick it out random? I don't know how you want to do it, but I'll send down one of those coasters. You give that away as well.
Perfect. And
Over
we
at Epcot
we
logo.
may add a couple more items to a free raffle there because I have a couple of really cool things that I'd love to put in the hands of some of our listeners. So there's incentive enough. You get to meet 50% of your hosts for the event. You get to see some cool stuff. Probably check out a film that you haven't noticed before that we've had up there and see the side-by-side restorations. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and I'm going to stop pimping this thing and so we can move on and tell you about some other cool stuff going on with the podcast. But I really do hope to see some of you guys.
Now, is the film going to be played on a TV VCR combo unit? Because that would be perfect.
It's one of those ones that actually gets wheeled in when the TV
On a
is
cart.
strapped to
On
the
a cart.
Yeah,
Just
on a
like
cart.
at school. Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, every 25 minutes, Brian has to pause. He has to be kind and rewind.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We'll be doing it on we'll be just projecting it for 8mm film. It'll be great.
Yeah.
All right.
So, all right. Well, thanks, Brian. I hope everybody can get down and meet you guys. And great to hear from our listeners if they do attend and let us know what you thought. So we wanted to give you guys, our listeners out there, a little bit of an idea of what we're going to be doing for the next couple episodes. So we're going to kind of give you a teaser here. Later this month, the September episode is going to be titled First Things First. Now, we did go back and talk about Disney MGM Studios on the very first day, and that led to a little bit of different kinds of research that we were doing. And before you knew it, we had collected a lot of different things that happened the very first time at Walt Disney World. We have two very special guests coming on the show that were actually at the Magic Kingdom on opening day on their honeymoon. They're going to be joining us. We also did some really interesting research that came out as a result of old news articles. I found one, and how you found one too, right? One of this is about the first families that came to the Magic Kingdom and Epcot. There's some wacky stuff that went on, and we're gonna talk about that. Then also we've got a lot of requests for the STOL port. And how you did some research on that, and I know you've got a little bit of information on that as well, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. Now, the interesting part is that we're going to blow your minds a little bit is that the STOL port was not the first airport on property. So we're actually going to talk about the very first airport on Walt Disney World property, which was not the one that everybody is thinking of. So that's definitely coming up next month, and we'll also be reviewing a new film, one that we just released, which is the River Country film, and we're going to talk about that in a couple minutes. Now, the next interesting episode, or one that we've got penned in, inked in, so to speak, is our Christmas episode. And Brian, I'm going to turn it over to you because I know you are. It's like Christmas in July. You had to start last 2 months ago, right?
Well, Christmas never ends for me.
That's true.
As you know, when I prep for a planned move next year, I start looking at my worldly belongings, and I think Christmas decorations outnumber anything else by about a 3-to-1 margin. So Christmas is kind of my thing. And this actually came from a listener suggested topic. We got an email from a listener named Rob Hinkle early on after one of our first episodes where we solicit all of you to send in your ideas. And he said, I'd really love to know what was done over the years because there isn't really a great resource for that. So I'm attempting to become that resource. We'll be looking at the first decade of Christmas season at Walt Disney World. So that'll be up until right before Epcot opened, because Epcot at Christmas and its history over the last 30 plus years is really its own entity. I mean, we're really that'll deserve an entire episode from things that have come and gone from Epcot Center. But we'll be looking at the decorations and shows in the parks, the candlelight processionals, original staging locations versus when it moved to Epcot, the live nativity that they used to have at the Lake Buena Vista Shopping Village. We've got some really cool stuff on that. Christmas parades that have come and gone over the years, early celebrations in the resorts. And one of the reasons I'm previewing this episode now is because there is scant material on it.
Right.
And so if you have keepsakes, photos, films, or memories as a guest, or especially if you were a cast member in those early years during the holidays, we'd love to hear from you. Just email us at podcast@retrodisneyworld.com, or later in the show, we're going to tell you how you can call us.
That's right.
So thank you.
Yeah,
and ho, ho, ho.
Brian's all ready for this one, so that will be coming this December. All right, so we're going to go over listener mail. We're not going to call out anything in particular here. We're saving those for the next episode, but we just wanted to extend a little bit of thank you to all of our listeners out there. The amount of email that we've been receiving and coming in from not only through Twitter and Facebook and emailing us directly. Nothing but short of fantastic. There's been fantastic stories coming in, interesting photos, new insight from some older cast members. Like we said on the previous podcast, there's so much coming in. We can't read everybody on the air. But please do keep it coming, because not only are you sharing these memories with us, on top of that, you're sparking ideas for us, helping us do research. You may just say one thing, and that prompts us to go off and start digging and going through. And JT, you run out to the mailbox every month, every week, every day. You see it all coming in.
Yeah, the thing that I think is the coolest, to me at least, I love hearing the cast member stories. So it's kind of one of those things, if you happen to know, like say we have a Disney fan who's a listener and you know somebody that did work at Disney back in this era, let them know about us, and maybe they have a interesting story to throw our way that, something we might not have heard of before. So those are the cool ones, I think.
Absolutely.
And it really is, the three guys, Todd, JT, and Hal, all have young children. And so we don't generally get to record this show until later in the evening once the kids are put to bed. So by the time we're done a show, it's usually midnight, 12:30. These guys are flagging. We're all looking to get, and it's so nice when the podcast finally gets published, and we start to get that feedback. And that feedback really, I don't want to say, I don't want to make it sound like that we're running a marathon here and it's what keeps us going.
You keep us going.
But it really does inspire us to kind of dig deeper into some of these things instead of just giving you, surface information. We find out so much more from people who, a great example was when we had Bill Cork a few months back come on and tell us all about how the Mark Twain was originally supposed to go out into Bay Lake and Seven Seas Lagoon.
That's
I mean,
right.
it's only, you would only learn about that from a firsthand account from someone who knew. It's not in a book anywhere.
Exactly.
So thank you to everyone who writes in. It's extremely kind, and we will endeavor to at least acknowledge you when you do write in. When it's four of us receiving your emails, sometimes there's an assumption, Todd will get that, or I'll answer that. And then, in fact, we had a great example. There's one little side story. About a month ago, we had a listener write in, and she had a picture of a gigantic Mickey Mouse. And she wanted to know about the gigantic Mickey Mouse. And about 3 weeks passed, and I came across the email again, like I had marked it as okay. And I asked the guys, hey, did any of us ever respond to this? And it turned out none of us had, and we felt terrible. So I quick ran out and did some additional research based on what I already knew, and we got her what I think were mostly good answers to her questions. So we do try, and don't ever hesitate to follow up if you do ask us a question we haven't answered you. So, but thank you for your cards, letters, telegrams, telephones, and everything else that you do.
And speaking of telephones too, if you're not fond of writing on the computer or anything like that, we do have a new way for you to leave a short message with your memory, a question for us, what have you. If you give a call to the phone number 978-71-RETRO. So if you give us a call at that number, you can leave a message up to about 3 minutes in length. Give us your name, email address, city and state, and who knows, we may put you on the air, we may include your comment, give you an email back if you've got a question about something. We've already had a couple people dial in and leave us messages. We're going to be getting them on a new segment that we're going to be bringing out soon called Listener Memories. So 978-71-RETRO, and retro spelled out is 73876. So it's 978-717-3876. So we look forward to hearing from everybody.
Kids under 12, get your parents' permission before calling.
Batteries not included.
No COD.
One other thing we want to talk about real quick here is we mentioned that the film restoration. Next month, we're going to be talking about a wonderful river country piece that we recently restored. Not often that you come across film from river country. This person not only took their camera there, looks like they stood in water, they climbed up on the rocks, they really went all out there to film this back in 1978.
It has been, we have released it, so if you haven't checked it out yet, you should. You're talking about 10 minutes almost entirely inside the river country park. It really gives you a great flavor for what it was like.
Yeah.
Where's this video at? Where can they find it?
Right on the RetroDisneyWorld.com homepage. And if you go to RetroDisneyWorld.com, there the title of the article is "Let's Whoop and Holler Again at River Country '78." So right on the homepage.
I should have asked, did you go to River Country in
Yes,
your
as
days?
an Orlando local, I got to go a couple of times.
All right.
I did too.
Did you
I
like
was there.
Yeah, it was really. I mean,
Was it?
being the first of its kind, of course,
Right.
prior to Wet and Wild and all the other stuff. Yeah, that was a pretty big deal.
I mean, think about how much theming was it there for that time of the, for that time period. Theming was intense.
There was literally nothing like it, and it was cool because it seems kind of weird, today if you came to somebody and said like, "Oh, we'd like to do a water park with the theme of an old-fashioned swimming hole," like you would get laughed out. But for Disney at that time, it made perfect sense, especially with the attachment to River Country. But we didn't care because it was fun. It was water slides. Like there was no such thing before that was available to anybody. So it was great. I mean, they weren't huge, crazy, overwhelming attractions like what ended up at Wet and Wild and some of the other Disney water parks. Now there was no Das Stuka or giant 70-mile-an-hour thing. At the 11-foot drop off of the falls and into the water was terrifying enough for an 8-year-old. But
yeah, and we've got
really
great
wonderful
footage of that one too.
Hal raises an interesting point. I'll ask: has anyone other than me done the Summit Plummet at Blizzard Beach?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
I have not. I did the other one next to it. What is the one that goes up and down?
Crush and Gush, is that the one?
That's
Crush and Gusher.
That's Crush and Gush is over at
Typhoon
At
Lagoon.
Typhoon Lagoon. All right.
It's the one next to it. It goes down, that goes back up. I can't remember. It's
Okay, so
With
you're the
the,
only one, Todd, that
yeah.
hasn't done it.
I have not done that.
All right.
RetroCon 2017.
Live from Orlando.
I
was
will
an-
say I have
Put
no
strap-
intention of ever doing it again, but I did do it.
See, now Blizzard Beach was another one of my opening day things I had to hit. So I
Ooh,
actually got
can't
to
wait
go
for that episode.
Yeah,
There it
it's
is,
not quite
first.
as exciting.
It's not as retro yet either.
Yeah.
But
We have to. Well, let me see. Blizzard Beach was what, 95?
Yes, we're coming up on it.
596,
Another
something like
5
that.
years from now.
So yeah, we're
We'll get there,
5
Pops.
years.
stay
We'll
tuned,
get there.
folks. 5 years. You got something to live for now.
Blizzard Beach opening day. So, what with the films, what we did want to bring up here is that we do have a new project going on. Just so everybody knows that everything that we've done from a film restoration standpoint has been completely out of pocket. Not only to procure, to digitally transfer and restore the films. It's our time, it's our money. And we really enjoy doing it. And there's a lot of them were some of our personal films, so we were restoring our own memories. But we did procure 2 fantastic 16 millimeter films. There is no digital version of any of these films that we know of anywhere. There's something we want to get restored. However, the cost of doing 16 millimeter film restoration and digital transfers, the correct fashion that we believe these films are entitled to, is extremely expensive. And we've put together a Patreon page, which is very similar to Kickstarter or Indiegogo, but it's more for those folks that are producing something in the arts. So we do have a project set up there where you can pledge anywhere from $5 to whatever you'd like, and help us out by pledging a few dollars. We are almost 50% through reaching our goal, which is fantastic. And once we reach that goal, we'll be producing these films and restoring them and getting them transferred, etc. So if you can give $1, $5, whatever you can, we do give things in return. We've got some great things for your pledge, including your name on the air. We've got Epcot Center coasters. We mentioned those earlier. Early access to this podcast. So if you love this podcast, you want to get it a week early, every month for a year, that's in there. Early access to our films that we're restoring, special access to the 16 millimeter films when we complete the project. A lot of great stuff. So if you can, please visit retrodisneyworld.com/films, and you'll be taken to our Patreon page where you can enter your pledge, and really appreciate everybody who has already pledged and helped us. Next episode, we're gonna read a huge list of names of those that have given us a pledge. So thank you very much for all of your continued support. And another thing too, we've got also still have our Redbubble shop running. We've got all sorts of different types of T-shirts and everything as we've talked about. So if you'd like to support us that way, that would be fantastic as well. So you can check out some of the new designs I think we're going to have coming up soon. We'll announce those on the next podcast. But if you're interested, looking at the different things we have, the Hydrolator stickers, we've got the Retro Disney World logo and the best-selling electrical water pageant serpent shirt, which still keeps selling every week.
And you should know that a few of our designs have been retired, so you should hurry over to that shop and snatch something up if you want it before it glows away forever.
That's right, because some of them are gone, and that is
in the
it.
vault.
So if you're interested in taking a look at those and getting some of those, it's retrodisneyworld.com/support us. And again, thank you to all those who have purchased some of the shirts and other merchandise in the past. I think that's about wraps up this really short episode. As always, we appreciate everybody who listens in each month. This is kind of a little teaser and giving you an idea of what's coming on RetroCon or the other things we've got cooking here at Retro Disney World. As always, thank you so much for all of your listener mail that comes in. Thank you so much for giving us a review on iTunes. The response has been absolutely fantastic. So with that said, JT, Brian, Hal, anything else to close out with?
No, we hope to see you this weekend and hope to have you with us.
Sounds good. Well, again, thanks everybody. We'll see you in about 2 weeks on the next episode. And with that, Brian, take us out.
Follow Todd McCartney and Retro Disney World on Twitter and Instagram at RetroWDW, on Facebook at Retro Disney World. And for all things Retro Disney World, including exclusive merchandise, visit us on the web at RetroDisneyWorld.com. On Twitter, follow our hosts, Hal Bowers at GoAwayGreen, for JT Kuzier at Hoagie's Garage, and you can find me on Twitter and Facebook at Brian P. Miles. And now, as long as you're all standing, we have a wonderful magic trick for you. Yeah, a wonderbar trick. Everybody face the door, and the trick is we're gonna make you all disappear.